Welcome to A Connection is a Connection, the show where we take a break from business talk and slide into the personal side of things. Today we're sitting down with Karen to uncover the stories, quirks, and passions that may make them tick. Let's have some fun and get to know them like never before. First, give a warm welcome to our guest, Karen. Woo!
You want me to say my last name because it's
yes,
really hard?
Yes, please.
It's like, Karen, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
Dalessandro.
Awesome. We're here to keep it light and fun, so let's jump into some questions. But first, Karen, we'd like a brief intro about yourself.
An intro. I do the afternoon show at KSLX. I also do fill-in work on Sonoran Living on ABC 15. And I've been in the Valley. It'll be 4 years, if you guys can believe it, in April. And my hair is done by this lovely girl right here. So whenever you see pictures of me on Instagram and Facebook and social media, it looks good because of her.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let's hop into some questions.
All right, Karen, are you ready for the questions?
I'm ready if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right. What's a fear you've conquered that you're proud of?
You're going to laugh when I tell you this. As I sit here in front of a microphone and thousands of listeners, public speaking.
Wow.
When I first started out in radio, you're in a room here that is closed off and nobody really sees you. So you're talking to like the room, but there's people listening. You just don't see them. So when you have to go out and introduce a concert or MC a gala or a charity event, you have to be in front of a lot of people and you see them all. And that's a very different vibe. So when I first started in radio, I brought on the B-52s at a small bar in Michigan, my very first job. And I remember getting on stage and I could see them all with their beehive hairdos. And I was like, oh my God, it's a tiny little dive bar. And I looked at the guy who I worked with at the radio station, who happens to now be Doug, my husband. And I said, I don't know. What do I say? What do I say? I'm not sure what to say. And I freaked out. And that changed really fast because that's a big part of our job.
That's so amazing.
Public speaking, I was so terrified.
You'd never know.
Oh,
you'd never know.
So now it's like I don't think about it. My husband goes, "Remember back when you were afraid to bring on the B-52s?" I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Now it's like a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Decades later.
All right.
What's the worst tan you've ever had?
The worst tan
Uh-huh.
I've ever had? Oh man, that's a great question. I want to say it was like in Europe somewhere. We travel a lot. So this was on one of our really exotic fun trips. And it was a beach that had black sand. It was so cool. I want to say it was the south of France, not to sound whoa, but it was the south of France. It was a really great trip. And I got the worst burn ever. It wasn't a tan. I mean, it turned out to be a great tan, but I peeled and dangerous.
Oh,
not
no.
good.
Oh, wow.
So to use sunscreen from now on.
And sometimes spray tan is much better.
Yes, exactly.
When was the last time you cried and why?
Wow. Oh man, when did I cry last? I cry when I'm sad, but I also cry when I'm happy. So what did I last cry about that made me really emotional? My dog. I mean, my dog is 15 this year, and he's great shape. He's so spunky, but when I think about his mortality, sometimes it makes me sad. I get a little teary.
Yeah,
I hug him.
But you got to cherish those memories now.
I do live in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. If you were a flavor of ice cream, what flavor would you be and why?
I would be spumoni because I'm Italian and it's kind of nutty. It's got nuts in it and it's very layered, different layers and flavors. So that's me. I like spumoni.
Nice.
I like
That's a good
that.
one.
That's
I
a good
know.
one.
Although I'm lactose intolerant, so
Well, then,
just kidding.
Take lactate,
Right,
bro.
yeah.
It's fine.
What's the hardest lesson you've ever had to learn?
Hardest lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, to be patient, learn patience. Patience is so difficult for me. And I've gotten it as I've gotten older. I've started to figure out that things happen when they should happen and they happen in the time they're supposed to happen. But if you had told me that in my 20s and 30s, I would have said, it's got to happen now. Like right now, I want to do this. And you just kind of figure out later that like when you look back, that was supposed to happen so that this could happen.
Yeah.
And that failed because this got successful. And I don't know, it's just really weird. But I think I had patience, just let it come to you.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Karen. So there's a question that we ask every single one of our guests.
Okay.
And we're going to go ahead.
What are you doing for God?
What am I doing for God? Wow. I try to be kind to people. I try really hard to be kind. It's in my nature, I think, to be a kind person. I think sometimes just sharing a smile with somebody to let, even if they're a stranger in the gym or, in the store, you just don't know what people are going through at that moment in their life. And sometimes even if they act out, trying to understand that they're in a place in their life that I can't understand, but that try to share that love. And I think that's kind of the God Jesus way, or I think that's the way, that he, she, it would want it to be.
That's amazing. Yes. All right, let's hop into some more questions.
Oh, there's even more.
There's more. What would your WWE wrestler persona be, and what's your signature move?
Okay, because I'm like so hands-on, as you could tell, with everything in my life. I would be the controller. I would be like the
Ooh,
controller.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I control it all. And I would probably have a microphone, because I'd be like the announcer in the ring. And I would just be like in their face with my microphone, swinging it around and tying them up with my microphone cord. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Pretty creative.
That was a good answer.
Thank you.
Okay, what is the weirdest smell you have ever smelled?
Oh, my dog's breath. Oh my gosh. I guess that would be the worst, not the weirdest.
Yeah.
But he has the worst breath ever. It's so bad. Like he'll be across the room and I'll be like, what is that? It's my poor little Bodhi's dog. Yeah, he's a sweetheart, but I love him anyway.
Aww. What's the most awkward compliment you've ever received?
Oh, I get it all the time in radio. It happens all the time. People will say, oh, you don't look anything like I thought you looked. I'm not sure how to take that. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean like I look better than you thought I was going to look, or not as good?
So what do they normally say?
I thought you were blonde. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
now,
what
is
does
that
that
a compliment?
Oh
So
my
yeah, people,
gosh.
that's the cool thing about radio though, is it's so like, there's a mystique to it. Because no one really knows. Now in the day of Facebook and Instagram and all the social media platforms, they know what we look like. I think I'm even on the dashboard of your car radio, if you have a newer car. But man, back in the day, no one knew what we looked like, and it was just they had. On the other hand, I will meet a listener that calls us all the time, and I've never seen them in person, except on the phone, and I'll go, wow, they don't look anything like I thought. So you just get this weird vision in your head. Yeah.
Mhm.
Voices are so different than what someone looks like.
So true. Which is why I'm glad you joined me for the introduction.
Yeah.
We now know who the people are.
Surprise. Okay, if you could erase one embarrassing moment from your life, what would it be?
This happened quite a few years ago. Actually, Barack Obama was senator then, not president. So this goes back a lot of years. But he was doing a book signing speech thing, and I got to go and do just a stand in line meet and greet type of a thing. This is before he was ever a president. I got up to the front of the line, and there's all these security people around him, like there always is with politicians. And I get up there, and I'm like all excited, and I'm like, "Hi, I saw you on Oprah, and you were really good." That's what I said.
Oh my goodness!
Because he had been doing the circuit and doing all these talk shows, and I was a big Oprah fan. And I was like, "That's the first thing you say to the guy? I saw you on Oprah." I walked away going, "Oh my gosh, I'm so
That's
embarrassed."
interesting.
He won't remember. He won't remember.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. That girl in Wisconsin, because I was in Wisconsin at the time.
That's so
Yeah, it was
funny.
crazy. But there, you know what? It's hard to embarrass me. What we do, we put ourselves all out there when we're on the air, and so mistakes. It's live radio. But that one was an interaction that I'll never forget, thinking that was the dumbest thing you could have possibly said. There's a million other things you could have said.
Yeah, but it's like you have to think, like, if you wanted to meet your favorite celebrity, like,
Right.
don't you think about what you want to say? Like, I don't know what I would
Exactly.
say.
You prepare your
You have
questions if
to.
I'm doing an interview.
Sure.
So when we give away backstage passes,
Mhm.
and listeners are all excited to meet their favorite artists, whoever it may be, I think the same thing. I'm like, the first thing I ask is, what are you going to wear? because you're going to think about what you're going to wear to meet this
Yes.
person, and then what are you going to say? You know, there's
Seriously.
I mean, you only get a few seconds before they shuffle you
and
by.
they've heard everything already.
Totally, yeah. I love this. I love that album. My favorite song. Blah blah blah.
I'm your biggest fan.
So maybe they haven't heard. You were great on Oprah.
You were great. Maybe he remembers.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Okay. The last question is,
Well, if you're laughing, this is going off the rails
It's a
now.
good one. It's a good
are
one.
you an alcoholic?
Oh, that's a good
Be
question.
real. Be real.
Depends on what decade we're talking about. Okay.
Okay.
I-
2000.
Uh,
this year.
No, I'm pretty good. I'm actually a fitness freak now, but I used to be a heavy partier, you know, obviously in my 20s and 30s. And then I started getting into fitness in my late 20s and 30s. And I just find that even though I enjoy drinking and having fun, you know, if I just go crazy, I just pay for it too much the next day. And I always tell don't we all?
Yeah.
Did I do that? I should
It's
never
not
do that.
worth it.
I
the
know.
next
Don't do
day.
this again. And lately, I've kind of been sticking to that. Like I'm not drinking that as much as I used to anyway. So no, I would not label myself as an alcoholic
Phew.
ever.
Karen, thank you so much for the laughs and stories. It was awesome.
It was fun.
It was a pleasure to have you as a guest. Can you give us a 30-second commercial and how people can connect with you?
Easy, because I'm on the radio at KSLX, so you can listen between 3 and 7. You can always call me while I'm on the air. Listen to KSLX all the time, as a matter of fact. And you can also hit me on my social platforms. I'm Radio Girl Karen on Instagram and Threads, and Karen Dalessandro on air on Facebook. I love messages, and I would love a good follow if you can give me one.
Awesome. Well, so great having you. And stay tuned for the next interviews.